If you want to find London's vibrant alternative soul, there's really only one place to go: Camden. So today, we're diving headfirst into its world-famous market. It's a sprawling, chaotic, and totally brilliant labyrinth of culture, food, and fashion.
You know, it's kind of hard to wrap your head around just how massive this place is until you see the numbers. It is officially London's fourth biggest attraction. And get this, it pulls in 250,000 people every single week. That's like a whole city's worth of people flooding these streets, all looking for something different. It's a global icon for sure, but what's really amazing is how it all started.
Believe it or not, this is the number that kicked the whole thing off: 16. Back in 1974, this entire, sprawling destination was just 16 little stalls selling crafts and antiques. So how on earth did it get from there to here?
Well, let's peel back the layers, because Camden's history is every bit as colorful as the market itself. This isn't just the story of some shops. It's really the story of London's own evolution.
So picture this. Back in the 19th century, this was not a place for artists and musicians. It was a gritty, industrial hub. Seriously, the air was probably thick with the smell of gin from its famous distilleries. Then, in 1974, that tiny weekend market opened and planted a seed. You fast forward to today, and it's this global village with over 1,000 traders. It's a complete reinvention. Okay, so if you've never been, the term Camden Market can feel like one giant, overwhelming maze. But here's the secret. It's actually a collection of different markets, and each one has its own unique personality. Let's break it all down.
We absolutely have to start with the original, the iconic Camden Lock. This is the historic heart of it all.
Right here, sitting by the gorgeous Regent's Canal, this is where those first 16 stalls set up shop. And even though it's exploded in size, Camden Lock still has that original creative spirit. This is where you go for handmade crafts, unique jewelry, and oh man, an incredible lineup of global street food. It's the pure, unfiltered Camden experience. So, from the original heart, we're going to wander into its biggest and, I think, most atmospheric section, the Stables Market. This place has such a wild history. It's built inside a former Victorian horse hospital. As you walk around, you can still see the old stables and tack rooms, but now they house almost 700 different shops. This is ground zero for Camden's alternative scene, the absolute best spot for vintage, goth, and punk fashion. And of course, you have to stop and pay respects to the statue of Camden's own queen, Amy Winehouse. All right, from the historic to the brand spankin' new, let's check out Holly Wharf. This is the modern face of Camden. Yeah, this is a pretty recent multi-million-pound redevelopment, and it has a totally different feel, much more modern, kind of polished. It's super family-friendly, full of independent shops, a huge food court, and there's even an indoor amusement park called Babylon Park. It just goes to show you that Camden is always evolving. And finally, right on the main drag, there's a market that is literally impossible to miss. We're talking about Buck Street Market. I just love this place because it shows Camden's commitment to sustainability. The entire market is built from these brightly colored, repurposed shipping containers. And the focus here is all on ethical and eco-conscious traders. So think upcycled goods, sustainable fashion, and a fantastic collection of vegan food stalls. It's basically shopping with a conscience. But look, Camden is so much more than just a place to shop. It has this cultural pulse, a creative energy that has been drawing artists and musicians here for decades. You know, this quote really nails it. Long before it was a massive tourist spot, Camden's gritty industrial look was a magnet for creatives. Architects and designers just saw beauty in the old warehouses and railway arches, and that bohemian spirit has really defined the area ever since. And we cannot talk about Camden without talking about the music. I mean, it's a legendary part of London's music history. You've got iconic venues like the Roundhouse and the Jazz Cafe. This is where punk exploded with bands like The Clash, and where Amy Winehouse honed her incredible talent. Places like the Electric Ballroom have been rocking since the 1950s. The music is just baked into the bricks here. So what does it actually feel like to be there, on the ground? Let's try and soak in the atmosphere, the real vibe of the place. A day in Camden is a full-on sensory experience, in the best way possible. On one hand, you've got the incredible smells of street food wafting everywhere, from the legendary halloumi fries at Alibaba's to an entire Sunday roast wrapped up in a Yorkshire pudding. And on the other hand, you're hunting for treasure, digging through racks of vintage clothes to find that one-of-a-kind punk rock jacket. Honestly, just walking down Camden High Street is an event. The storefronts aren't just shops, they're basically art installations. You'll see these gigantic 3D sculptures, dragons and boots and elephants just bursting out of the buildings. It is a photographer's dream, seriously. And here's a little local tip for you. When the hustle and bustle gets to be a bit too much, you can just slip away to Regent's Canal. It's this surprisingly peaceful little oasis right next to all the chaos. Just grab your street food, find a spot by the water, and watch the narrowboats drift by. It is the perfect way to recharge. Feeling inspired? I bet you are. Great. Let's finish up with some practical, pro-level advice to help you navigate Camden like you've been going there for years. Okay, a little planning makes all the difference. First, to avoid the absolute crush at Camden Town Station, get off at Chalk Farm instead and walk down. It's a much nicer way to arrive. Second, if you can, go on a weekday. Weekends are electric, but they are also insanely crowded. Third, bring a bag for all your cool finds. And hey, don't be afraid to do a bit of friendly haggling. And finally, you know the drill. Just be smart. Keep an eye on your belongings in the crowds. And maybe the best part, you don't have to wait for the weekend. The markets are open 7 days a week from 10 in the morning till 6 at night, so you can get your Camden fix anytime you want. In the end, Camden isn't just a market. It's this living, breathing celebration of being an individual, of creativity, of discovery. It's a place where you can find anything, from a vintage jacket to your new favorite band. So I guess the only real question left is, when you go, what hidden gem will you discover?